Hello and welcome to the show, the last show of season 4, if you can believe it. My name is Jenna Morton.
And I'm Tosh Taylor, and we thought we would end the season with something extremely important. As our kids are about to be home, we all know how important sleep is.
Oh my goodness, yes. Sleep schedule, sleep cycle, sleep.
Sleep.
Myself.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. So today we brought in with you the creator and the owner of Sleep Baby Sleep. So Sonya Bourgeois is a sleep consultant, and this is like a once-in-a-lifetime business here in the Greater Moncton area, and you're like gold in our pockets right now. So welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yes,
I'm excited.
I think that anyone who has been a new parent with not just an infant, but then even like all through the toddler, like the infant years, the infant stage, I feel like parents are more worried about sleep. Yes. And then you get to the toddler stage and you went, oh, I didn't know anything.
Yeah.
Now I really need help.
True. Yeah, it's like, he's going to sleep tonight. It's going to get better. And it doesn't.
Yeah. And that's when you call Sonya.
Yeah.
So tell everyone a little bit about what it means to be a sleep consultant, because for a lot of people, that's still kind of a new term.
Yeah, like in the United States, it's very popular, but so basically, you know how people struggle with their child's sleep? So either your child is not sleeping through a night, or bedtime battles, or even like short naps, or just not wanting to nap. I basically help the family get through those challenges and support them through the challenges, and then hopefully they sleep through a night and have great naps. So I basically support them through and navigate, because there's a lot of information out there, but sometimes you need like personalized help. Somebody that's gonna hold your hand and also make a plan for your family, because everybody has different parenting styles or different values. So I kind of work with families, and I have different methods and different ways of going about it, I guess. So yeah.
Okay, so how did this kind of land in your lap? Like, what made you think? Yeah,
from selling alcohol to being a child sleep consultant. And basically, I had my son, Louis, and it was a big change. Like, I became extremely sleep deprived quickly. At like 9 weeks, I knew I needed to change something, because he was waking up every 2 hours. And I'm like, I can't do this. Like, this is too much. And I took like an online course to help him sleep. And I was like, whoa, this is simple. Why can't we know this? And why is it like not in our community? And why is not that information everywhere? So I'm like, well, I'm just going to start a business. So I looked up and found the Family Sleep Institute and got certified with them. It's in the United States. So that's how it all started, I guess, because I was sleep deprived and I just wanted to help more moms. And I was in a mommy fit group, and they were always talking about sleep, like struggling with sleep. And I'm like, I want to help them, but I don't have the background, you know?
So now you have the background and you have the business.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about launching your business and how things are going.
Yeah, so I basically started in September slowly and started working with families. It's been good. Like January, I really saw like a big increase and influx, but I think it's the time of the year too. Like January, new goals, new things.
Yep.
But now since then, it's been good. So I've worked with, I think like 25 families one-on-one, and I did like 5 workshops. So all in all, probably like 150 families already that I've helped.
Fantastic.
So it is amazing. And I did, I think, 70 discovery calls. So like people have an interest for sure, and people need help. So I want to continue giving one-on-one services, but also workshops, because sometimes just a newborn workshop can really make a difference. Like last week, I got 2 messages from moms, like just following my workshop, how their little one sleeps really well. So it's like, yes, I love the prevention part of it too.
Yes.
Rather than always fixing problems in a sense. So
that's a good point. You know, when I don't know, my kids are 10 and 7 now, but when you were pregnant, you would go to the hospital and go to those classes. There's nothing ever spoken about sleep. Nothing. And those are the things I would have rather learned, like what to do with this child once it's home. And you know how important sleep is.
Yes.
But you need to know these things. It's I agree. Prevention. You should be doing these classes while pregnant, and then when the baby comes, you're ready right from day one.
Because you have like the tools, you have the techniques, you have the sleep environment, you have the safety of it too. Because I feel a lot of practices are not safe anymore, because we see online these things, but it's not safe, and we don't know it, and we don't learn it in the hospital. You know what I mean? Like there's not enough info. for us.
I was having a conversation about that the other day with a safety institute about the idea of, you see these beautiful nursery pictures online and how unsafe so many of the things in these photos are. But it's what everyone sees, and I want the canopy, and I want this, and I want that, and you can buy all the things. So many people think it is safe because you can buy it, but it's because there's no regulations around it.
No, you're so right, and that's what's frustrating for me. And that's why I will comment sometimes if I hear people say things that are not safe, or I see things, I will sometimes say, just because they might not know.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't want anything to happen if I can prevent it, you know what I mean? But yeah, no, a lot of things that are sold are not 100% safe. And like you say, people see it, so you think it's safe. Even for me, finding pictures of safe sleep for babies, almost impossible on the internet.
Really?
Yeah, because there's always blankets in the crib, there's always teddies or crib bumpers, or there's always something in the crib. But you want a bare crib, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, so.
That's it. Like, I think around the time that our kids were born, it was when they started removing bumper pads from cribs, when they were like, oh, no, you shouldn't have these bumper pads. And I was like, okay,
people still have it these days, which is weird because it's like, well, I just see friends having it, so it's like
someone
they don't
passed
know why.
it down, someone gifted it.
And they don't know why they're using it. And it's like, it's interesting.
Yeah. They are interesting, because why do you need bumper pads?
Well, some parents, I've heard it's because of like the legs in the, but if you use a sleep sack, it stops that. So that's why I recommend sleep sacks. And also for the soothers, but the soother is whatever, if it falls, it falls. You put a few in the crib. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think we need to start with tips. Like, what is...
right there. Like, what are some of those safety things that
safety
people
tips,
who are expecting, or, if you were the grandparent or the aunt or uncle who's
good point.
When I was pregnant, this is what we all got. Yeah. Some things have changed for good reason.
Exactly. So for safety, I would say I would start with, always placing your little one down on their back. So that is like basic, but a lot of people don't follow that anymore. So yeah, definitely on their back. And babies need to sleep on a super firm surface. So no couch, no adult bed, because it can be dangerous. So really, like, you need a mattress that's for like babies, so a firm mattress. And like I was saying, nothing in the crib. So you just want your baby in a swaddle or a sleep sack and maybe a soother, and that's it. And you don't want things hanging around the crib, just because anything can happen. So that would be my main safety. And they also recommend no smoke around the baby, and having your little one in your bedroom the first 6 months is recommended, but it's a personal choice as well. If you're not getting any sleep because your baby's there, you need to think of mental health too. So that would be my main safety things, I would say. Yeah, and once they get toddler and in toddler beds, then you need to be aware of the room needs to be safe, and there's more to it. But
take everything out of the room.
Pretty much.
Or they'll never sleep. They'll never ever
or
sleep.
they will cover it all in butt paste, and then
true. Yeah, because you have twins.
They pretty much had a bare walls bedroom, mattress on the floor.
You live and you learn, huh?
Yeah. Oh, it's so true. So true.
But to that point, like, every family is different, every situation is different, which is why having that ability to talk to someone one-on-one and go through, like, this is what's happening in my home. Because I remember being in that phase of, like, I'm a pretty decent researcher. I can go on the internet, I can get a book, and I can see, oh, this makes sense, this is a terrible resource, this is, this is valid. But to then transform that into actually working in my life.
Yes, and implementing the changes. And
having someone you can talk through who says, oh yeah, I had this other family who did this. I know someone who did this.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
And now I'm working with more families, and I can really see patterns. So that's what I'm loving. Like, I really want to work with more families to be able to, like, okay, this is what's going to happen night 2, let's say, and this is what's going to happen at this age, because I've seen it before. And, like, I know we all think that our baby is, like, unique and there's no other baby like that, but it's not true, you know what I mean? Like, there are patterns, and there are things that they go through at certain stages in their life, and we can predict in a sense. So
okay. I think one thing that I find a lot of parents don't find that sleep is necessary. So many parents will say, oh, my kid just runs on less sleep than other kids. Blah, 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 blah,
I'm
blah.
finding them more and more.
I
feel like that has shifted a lot over the last few years.
Research shows that too, that kids are sleeping less than they used to, like, 20 years ago. Yeah, and one of the main thing is late bedtime and screen time. Right. So those two are really a big role in the fact that kids are going to bed too late. And a big part of what I do is, like, pressuring people to go to like do earlier bedtime, and it's crazy how much pushback I get all the time. But it's like the most important thing to have an early bedtime, because oftentimes they will say, oh, but my child is just hyper at night, or he's just running around. Well, it's the second wind. Like they're
You've
overtired
missed the
already.
window.
You've missed the window. It's like, so it's going to be harder for him to fall asleep and stay asleep. So so the one tip, if ever anybody's listening, is early bedtime. And like early as in like between 6 and 7 p.m. probably, like early. And that makes a big difference. Then naps are better, your little one wakes up refreshed, and And I know it's hard because you sometimes have to stay home and things like that, but sleep is important for their brain, for their behavior, for growing, like anything.
I think part of what's happened there too is that shift in our culture where so many people want to put their kids in activities. And then activities, like, I can't believe how many times I see things that are planned for little kids at
Late.
6, 7, 8 o'clock at night. And it's like, no, we can't do that.
I know what you mean. Like, I put Louis in soccer this year, and it's the first time I put him in anything, but it's at 5:45. I felt that was reasonable. I'm like, okay, but if it would have been like 6:37, I would have said no, because sleep is a priority for me, and I know if he doesn't sleep, it's not going to be fun for me and him. But I'm going to be working with a mom that put her son in soccer in Dieppe, and it's really late. It's like at 6:30 or something. I'm like, oh my God. So it's going to be a challenge for us to work through that as well, you know, but it is what it is. At the same time, but priority, like the 80-20 rule, I'm a big fan of that. So 80% of the time you really prioritize, like sleep is you make it happen, you know, you follow the routine, and 20% you can be flexible.
Oh, I like thinking of it that way.
So to not have like a super rigid, you always have to be like super early bedtime, but you can't go also like 50-50, because then it's, you will feel it.
And they'll feel it too.
They will.
They like, that's it. A big thing I noticed with my kids is my kids go to bed the earliest in our subdivision, and people are always like, "The sun is still up. How are you bringing your kids in to put them to bed?" Because I'm super strict when it comes to bedtime, because I know how different my kids are if they're lacking sleep. So early bedtime, it's happening, and they go to sleep because they're used to it as well.
It is
exactly. This is, and also I work in the evenings, so I have that bonus of I'm home with them all day. So, but I know a lot of these parents, they're not getting home till 6 after they pick them up from daycare. Then they've still got to feed them and then put them to bed.
I know.
So I can understand that, and I can empathize with it.
And I hear that often. That it's like, well, I don't see them a lot, and I know what they mean. But for me, I prefer he goes to bed an hour earlier, and I can have him in a good mood the next day, or like during the weekends, you know what I mean? Than having him cranky and not just,
And I'm sure his teacher appreciates that as well.
The daycare definitely likes it when he's, he sleeps well, for sure.
But it speaks to more of a culture shift that we as a society need to make, to recognize that, what we're doing isn't working best for families, not just for the little ones who need sleep, but their parents who do need that time with them.
And I think it comes from the parents, like adults, we don't sleep enough. So we are all sleep deprived, so then we don't even acknowledge our kids are sleep deprived, you know what I mean? So it's, it's interesting.
It is interesting.
You mentioned screen time. Let's come back to that a bit and talk about why you were concerned about that, because I think I know, but I don't want to say it in case I'm wrong.
Well, so they recommend not having any screen time an hour before bed, so that's going to help you fall asleep and stay asleep.
And that's for all of us.
Yeah, adults too, exactly.
Not just the kids.
Exactly, but also because
Pot
it's
kettle.
It's a distraction. Like, I would not recommend having any screen in their bedroom, even if they're older. Really, it's like, it stops you from, and we're all the same. Like, if you watch a show, you're just going to keep watching the show instead of sleeping. So you want the bedroom, like, as simple and boring as possible. So screen time is okay, maybe part of the early bedtime routine, or right after dinner, or before, or whatever, but after that, I would just, no more screen.
Let them chill out. Okay.
Because bedtime, you want a bedtime routine that's around 30 minutes, and that can include like reading and PJs, you know, all that, whatever you want to do. But that is important to have like a unwinding period before bed, and it's like consistent, so they know what to expect, and
That was my next question. How important is structure around bedtime? Like, this is the time you brush your teeth. This is the time you put your pajamas on.
Good question.
Book.
Structure is definitely important. It doesn't need to be like always the same, but I would still have a similar bedtime routine every night, and that is because it's predictable, and it's easier for your child to just know what to expect and just do it. You know what I mean? Like, and even for me, like Louis will go grab his toothbrush. He puts his, like, he knows he's only 3, but it's because it's repetitive, and he knows that then it's going to bed, and it is what it is. Yeah, and they don't push back as much as if you don't have any routine, then it's a free-for-all. And then, yeah, I want more water. I want this, another book. You need structure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about creating that structure, especially maybe with kids as they get older. Because I know, like, for example, in our family, the past 2 years completely shattered any structure that had existed previously.
This is true.
Like when my kids were toddlers, we did have that, like, oh, at this time you go, you brush your teeth, you get your pajamas, you get in bed. And then 2 years of weirdness meant that we lost a lot of that. And so we're trying to bring that structure back in. And I keep going, okay, I know in my head we kind of need to start all over again.
Yeah, in a sense. Okay, well, maybe I can talk a little bit about something that's called family meeting that I do with my family. So technically you would sit down with all your kids and it would just be like a convo where you would talk about the coming changes. So if you say you want to start implementing a bedtime routine or earlier bedtime, whatever, you would kind of prepare with your partner in advance what you want to talk about, and then you have them talk about it too and get them excited about the new routine, get them involved, get them to choose what they want in their bedtime routine or the order of it. And so that they feel they have a sense of control, that it's not you dictating, you need to do this, you need to do that. And that works with toddlers too, but it works until probably they're 12 in a sense, but it's just to get them involved and talk about you want changes to be made in a sense. And it's just more, they accept it more and embrace it more. And you can kind of self-sleep to them in a sense, like if we sleep well, then we'll go to the park tomorrow, you know, you have more energy to do fun things or whatever. Yeah, that is what I would suggest.
Yeah, because I feel like there's probably a lot of people that either over the past 2 years the same thing has happened, or even just like we're heading into summer right now.
Yeah.
Summer, you know, your schedule does get a bit off. It does. It stays light until, like, my kids are 9 and 11 and are going to bed when it's light out because it's light so late right now.
I go to bed when it's light out.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes, I think I'm the only person in my house who most days sees nighttime, which is fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think that, a lot of people will probably have that, you know, thinking ahead to going back to school in the fall. You know, if you've kind of let things slide a bit for the summer,
too much, a little bit,
how soon in the summer do you suggest people have that meeting and start that conversation again with kids who are old enough to be going to school?
I would do at least a week before school, personally. But in the summer, you can still do bedtime a little later if you want, but you need to have like a good foundation and a good sleeper. You know what I mean? Like for me, I might test it out to do bedtime 7:30 or 8 instead of like 7. But he's a great sleeper, he still naps. You know, you need to have a great foundation. But that comes into play to make the room dark. Like that is something that everybody needs, like blackout curtains or whatever you need to make, because it's true, like my son even tells me, it's like, well, it's sun is out, like why am I supposed to go to bed? But once he's in his room, it's all dark, so he doesn't know the difference. But I would still not go totally out of schedule in the summer, but the 80-20, maybe 30 in the summer, but whatever, you know, so that it's not as much of a shock when September hits.
Well, and that's what I think that they find for sure come September. It's like, whoa, this like rude awakening, right? And I did the same thing. I promised my kids that we would push back bedtime a half an hour. They each get an extra half an hour to not go crazy.
Exactly.
And then I'm not up too late. But that's something that we should talk about. You don't just work with babies, right? Like you work with families with older kids too?
0 to 5 for now, and then we'll see. I might actually niche it even down if I find I have a preference or there's like a more of a need for a certain age group. But right now, I like to dip my toes 0 to 5, and it's different challenges, so it's interesting. So what can someone expect when you come in and you start making a plan with them? What's the first thing? The first thing, well, usually we get on the phone first thing. So they reach out like, I'm struggling with sleep, whatever. So I'm like, okay, let's book a free discovery call. So then we see if we're a right fit as well, you know, if the conversation's flowing, if they feel I'm the right fit for them. And then if they're interested, I send them like an intake form. So they fill out a big questionnaire where I really can see the situation, I would say, you know, to dive deep in random things that they would not think but can affect sleep in a sense. And then we have a one-on-one consultation. I sometimes doing in their home if they're interested, or Zoom. Since COVID, a lot of people prefer Zoom, and it kind of saves you time as well. And yeah, so we do that. And then during the Zoom consult, I obviously talk about methods and the plan and what they feel comfortable with. And then I write them a plan for their family. So it's a step-by-step plan with everything to include, like, everything you need to have a good sleeper. And then I follow them for 2-3 weeks. So follow them with support. So every day we check in. So it's mostly for support, but for accountability as well, because sometimes it's hard to make changes because you fall back into your old habits because it's easier. But I remind them what we're working towards. This is our goal, and we need to move forward, you know. So yeah, that's kind of how it works. So I'm really their cheerleader in a sense, and yeah, and they can ask questions along the way because obviously sometimes we make a plan too, and sometimes we switch it up because it doesn't work as we planned. So I mean, yeah, kids react differently sometimes.
Yeah, it's nice for you to be there for the emotional support too, because I as a mom, we've all been there. Like it is hard to, if you're suggesting the cry it out method, that is gut wrenching.
No, if people definitely choose that, you definitely need support. But yeah, I feel a lot of what I do is the emotional and the support part, and that's what I felt was lacking when I had Louis. Like to have somebody I could ask questions and somebody that's some kind of outside support. Yeah.
And someone, I think, too, who gets that nuance that there are differences and has seen different things, because even if you're going through it, you might have a friend who's got a kid, you know, a year older than you, and what worked perfectly for them is not going to work perfectly for you, right? It's not a cut and paste, and having them tell you how wonderful, you know, their method is that's great for them. But if you start to try and it doesn't work, you want to have someone that you can be like, oh yeah, you're not my friend. I don't need to feel like I'm being nice to you.
Yes.
This isn't working. Help me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that is true. And like a third, it's fun to have like a third party too, especially for like in-laws and like grandmas, because sometimes they don't listen, but they will listen to me, you know.
That's a good
Well,
point.
I was going to say, even between partners, if you have a different approach to how it's going to go, having a third party might be extremely important for your relationship.
I had a consult. I felt like I was only there for the man to listen because she was like, I'm right, you know what I mean? But it was okay, like for me, I got paid and whatever, it doesn't care, but that's how it felt. She's like, see, I told you. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah,
it's like a moderator in a way. I can even imagine between families that are in two separate households, right? Because that, you know, if one parent wants to do it one way and one wants to do it the other, and things get done differently at each person's house.
Yeah.
Oh my
gosh. I always wanted to be like a couples therapist, so I'm a little bit of that too.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Well, yeah, but because I think even if you're on the same page starting out about the plan, it can go off the rails. I know, I can remember in our family, like we'd be trying things and my husband would be like, can we just do this? Like, but I tried that.
Yeah, been there, done that.
Yeah. But then sometimes it's like, no, you gotta try it for 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. You didn't try long enough.
That is what I see often too. It's not the lack of consistency. Like I tried this, how long? Well, a day or two. Well, it's not enough. Like you can't see changes in a day or two, especially if they're older. Like it takes time.
How long do you think? Like how much? Like I know every kid is different, but yeah, what's the average?
I kind of like babies because in like a few days you can see major changes.
Okay.
But typically for it to fall into places a week or two. For babies, toddlers, it can be really 2 or 3 weeks because really need to be consistent because they do push boundaries a lot and they need to take the parents seriously. So they test it out.
Yeah.
All right, Sonya, we are going to have to wrap up our show and our season. But before we do that, tell everyone how they can find you to get your help.
And well, I'm on Instagram and Facebook for sure. So I'm active on social media, but I just created my website. So my website is live. So you can find my packages, my services, a little bit about me. And I have a blog as well, so that can help parents. So and obviously my information is on there. So if ever you want to book a call, you can easily do it on my Instagram or website.
And it's Sleep Baby Sleep, but baby is spelled French.
Right? Sleep, bebe, sleep. Yeah, I wanted to be a Czech a little bit with my name.
I love it.
I'm bilingual, so.
That's another great thing that might sell. So
yes.
Thank you so much for being our last interview of the season. Goodness. We'll be back in September.
Season 5 coming in September.
Wow.
Woohoo! Oh my! All right, have a great summer, everyone. And you can listen to the whole 4 seasons catalog.
Please do
on the Pickle Planet website. And we'll see y'all again in September.
Bye.